Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Good afternoon, Big Geeks. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and we're in the middle of a heat wave here in the UK. You wearing some shorts, Bradders?
Mate, I cannot believe it. Yeah, I've got my shorts on. Just about to crack a beer, sort of getting finished for the day.
I'm just aware of how close that question was to Brad, what are you wearing?
I've got some Jazzy Jeff shorts that I'm sporting right now, so they're pretty cool. I'm not sure what my girlfriend thinks about them, but no, actually she doesn't mind them. But when I look at myself in the mirror, I do think I look like...
You question it?
Yeah, for like a 38-year-old man, they are sort of like 90s teenage boy shorts.
Are you wearing board shorts, Brad?
They're not in the style, just in the kind of colour. So they're like crazy colours.
Of course they are.
I'll wear them next time I see you, mate. How's that?
I look forward to it.
Feast for your eyes.
Maybe you'll wear it tomorrow, because we're actually recording this on Thursday to spoil the magic of podcasting, because we're off on a trip tomorrow. We're going to Bristol to visit Lost and Grounded as part of a project we're working on all around malt.
Yeah, man, pretty exciting. It's a sort of, I feel, an underrepresented part of the craft beer triangle. Would it be a triangle? Like a sort of Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I don't know whether we count water. You know, water's important. It's deadly important, particularly, New England IPA is really, given it its moment in the sun. But water's pretty easy to control once you get your head around the maths, whereas everything else is more crafty.
Yeah, so we are going to call it a triangle then. Let's call it a triangle, Johnny.
Okay, it's the third corner of the beer triangle malt, and we're hoping to give it a lot more love over the next couple of months with some projects that we've got going on, including going to Lost and Grounded to learn all about a heritage grain variety that is being used to make a very delicious Bohemian lager.
Yeah, man, that's going to be super cool. I mean, it's kind of something we touched upon with Beak as well. With their field of heritage stuff that they're up to there. So I think it's a thing that people they're thinking about more.
Yeah, so the focus of that video will be malt and Brad's shorts. It also means that we can't talk about the live show, which is actually happening tonight, but by the time you listen to this, happened yesterday. Ooh. I've gone cross-eyed.
Mind-bending.
But to those who will/have joined us, I hope you will have had a lovely time.
So confusing. I hope in the future, when you listen to this, after you're hungover from this evening's thing, that you had a good time and that you'd got in some Rennies as well. Because maybe the acid burn might be a bit crazy.
Yeah, the drinking order is 3 beers, then a Pepto-Bismol, and then 3 more beers. I'll be using that joke, actually, thinking about it. See, this is good. We can brainstorm. Rather than going in blind, doing the podcast early means we can work out all the jokes. You see?
Do you know what? I just unpacked my box and stuck it in the fridge,
and
I thought, they should have put some antacid in the box as well. Maybe just one. They could have bought a pack and just cut off like one little tab for everyone. and stuck it in there. That would have been a nice touch.
That would have been nice. Or just a carton of milk. Well, actually, no, that'd be a bad idea.
Carton of milk.
Carton of milk.
Maybe some UHT milk. That would,
that could last.
Some of those little ones, which you don't really see those anymore, but the tiny little capsules of like weird milk that probably have added towards destroying the planet with those little fucking weird
definitely
capsules.
I've always thought that, like, you know, like the little ketchup packets as well. And you're just like, why did we ever think that was a sustainable thing to do? I
think what it is people don't like the crusty stuff around the top of ketchup bottles, like the glass bottles.
Oh my god!
And people are too stupid to allocate their own amount of ketchup from a squeezy bowl.
But also, those packets were too small. You needed like 4 of them.
You do need at least 4 of them.
I'm not going to sit here with you in your shorts trying to defend shitty little sachets
Mate, I'm
of ketchup.
definitely not defending the sachets. I'm trying to think. I've been to... In America, those sachets are bigger as well, which makes more sense.
Do you mean culturally bigger, or just literally the sachets are bigger?
They're literally bigger.
They're literally bigger,
They're literally bigger. I'm sure they are. I'm sure I've had them, and I've had them in a different format where they're half as wide, but they're more like... You know, you get those sort of German smoked sausage things that are in the sort of orange plastic stuff. They're kind of more round like that. And
I know the ones you mean. Yeah, they're longer and... Yeah.
Those are better. They're a better
kind
format.
Kind of tampon wrapper shaped.
Yeah. It's a better format for dispensing. Because the other thing is, the critical point when you're like trying to like pinch the top open with the little raggedy edge, the little triangly edge, if you pull it too close to the edge, you create a super tight stream of molten ketchup that will like just project out like a super soaker and just like spray over everything.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
And it might come out at a wonky angle as well and like get someone you didn't mean to. So you got to be real careful with those things. Dangerous.
You do. At this point, I should remind everyone that yes, this is a beer podcast, but
of course,
just for the eradication of doubt, fuck sachets. Let's get on to this week's video, shall we?
Yeah, go on then.
So this week's video was a big one for us. It was our first sort of long-term sponsorship deal that we've struck. It's taken a long time to put together. Apparently, you know, you really have to persuade people to put a bit of money behind me and Brad.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why that could be. But after months of negotiation and working out, and obviously, as you may see in the video, negotiations around me buying a house, which I still haven't bought. We finally got this video live in which Brad built basically a trolley for a brewery.
Basically, yeah. It was the Porter Brew, christened the Porter Brew, just because I thought it was funny that it sounded a bit like a Portaloo, and hopefully it smelt and tasted a lot better than a Portaloo.
Fingers crossed. And hopefully it was cleaner.
Yeah, so the Porter Brew... You know, it was kind of I guess it's quite a simple idea, but we didn't really know if it was going to work. I mean, we assumed that the weight of a fully kitted out brewery with all the vessels kind of filled up with mash and everything was going to be able to be held on the crate. But, you know, because obviously they can ship huge amounts of weight on the top, but the sort of distribution of the weight on the individual boards we were unsure of. So it was quite a lot of trial and error, but it worked out amazingly well. And you know, it wasn't like a super crazy hard thing to build. Anyone can do it, and obviously you could do it if you had a lot less kit than we've got. But yeah, it was a cheap thing to do apart from the kit, obviously. And I think it was super fun, and I really enjoy building stuff. So hopefully we're going to do a bit more of that on the channel.
Yeah, I mean, so we've got to make some adaptations to the Porter Brew already. So eventually we'll raise the hot liquor tank so that it can sort of filter straight down into the Grainfather, which was, I think, 9 Mile Creek Brewing made a comment about that. We're definitely going to do that, but we've got a pretty cool plan about how we're going to do that. So that'll be a little build. And then also we started talking, as we were serving the beer, which I won't spoil whether it worked out really well or not. But as we were serving it, we started to think about how we could also add a dispense unit to the porter brew that would keep the beer cold, and so that we could, have a mobile bar as well that's attached to it.
Yeah, man.
Which I think would be the final thing missing from this.
That's
all-in-one.
I've been watching many sort of Keyser kegerator sort of builds, trying to work out what we could do to make something incredible. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I really enjoy that kind of stuff, and I think there's a lot of potential DIY stuff we can do around home brewing that just kind of elevates whatever equipment you've got, and the sort of drinking experience. So it's something I'm very excited that we're getting into.
Yeah, and of course you should be excited about the beer as well, because next week is the brew day, when Seb and my recipe is put to the test. Not everything goes to plan. There is an issue with the fact that it's mobile at one point, so enjoy that. But otherwise, it was a bit of a success. Should we dive into the comments, Bradders?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
What, do you want to go first?
Okay, so talking about sort of pimping our ride, or our porter brew, we had a great comment from Carl McWilliam, who said, "One fermenter, that'll never do. You should move the hot side gear to a new half pallet hot side cart and add another 2 fermenters and turn the existing cart into a cold side cart. Haha, just kidding. Kind of. Cheers, guys. Love the channel and the podcast and have learned tons from all the content you produce."
Thanks,
Cheers,
Kyle.
Yeah, man. Like we obviously we just sort of said about how we could potentially expand the porter brew, and like the amazing thing about the Grainfather glycol chiller is that that's got 4 outputs on it. So we could have up to 4 fermenters on the go, if we wanted to. So we could almost make a pallet crate train of, a cold side, a hot side, a kegerator.
Could have a whole sort of snake coming out the back with more and more, yeah. I mean, definitely.
We'll have a disco one, which got a disco dance floor on a pallet. We could have one that's maybe a barbecue grill zone pallet.
Yeah, barbecue
hot
edition
tub pallet.
Smoker,
yeah. Come on, man. We could do all sorts with this.
I love the phrase half pallet hot sidecar. It sounds like a Mogwai song title.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said for a second in the train, with 4 fermenters on it. Somebody also commented that we should put a bike on the front of it, so it's truly mobile and we can drive it down the street. But I reckon the first police car that goes by is gonna put pay to that.
Well, the wheels. I mean, they were great industrial wheels, but they're too small.
Yeah.
You would need to have much, much bigger wheels to go along a bike. Otherwise, it would just get jingle to fuck.
But then, if my Yaris can make it over several fields of Sussex, I reckon the porter brew could maybe do a couple of miles in Walthamstow.
Oh, easy. The way we've built it, mate, it's, nothing could go wrong.
And then we got a lovely comment from Andy Higginbottom, which was actually a reply to Alex, French Guy Cooking, who dropped by as I thought he might, because we were building something, and that's his jam. So Alex said that it was really exciting. He's looking forward to the next episode. And Andy chipped in to say, I discovered you guys when researching the start of my homebrewing journey last year, so for you to bring real focus onto it is great. Thank you for making homebrew accessible and unpretentious. Which, yeah, I like to think that's what we do, although there was a moment in this week's video where I even edited it down by about 2 minutes, but there was a lot of water chemistry chat, and I don't think that even the nerdiest homebrew videos on YouTube need too much water chemistry chat.
No. Well, it's not in the craft beer triangle, the homebrewing triangle.
Exactly. Yeah, we've just ignored water now, apparently. So, yeah, I mean, we will do content around water chemistry, but I don't know, we'll find an interesting way of doing it. We'll do it in a waterfall in Iceland or something.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Despite being incredibly wet, it is quite a dry topic of conversation.
Strong, Bradley. Strong.
Hey.
So thank you for all the comments on the video, and I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it. Obviously, it's really nerve-wracking when you put sponsored content live. You don't know whether you're going to miss the mark or whether people are going to assume that you're completely compromised. But, we've been using the Grainfather for 5 years already. We love the stuff, and we're really excited about the big plans that we have for this. This was almost a stalling tactic, these first few videos, while my house gets sorted. And we've got some big plans and some amazing breweries that we're going to be working with on collaborations, like proper, as we've said, proper hype style, and going to the breweries that are famous for particular styles and getting the best from them. So thanks for all of your support with that. We've got an in-depth, absolutely killer question for this week.
Ooh,
so although it's a little bit early in the podcast, I think we've got to dig in to the question to end all questions. From Matisse.
Hi guys, it's Matt here from the Netherlands. To make up for your lack of a question in the previous podcast, I actually have 2 questions for you this week. A couple of weeks ago, you spoke about Belgium and its culture surrounding glassware. It made me feel really spoiled because when I'm in a bar and beer is not served in its corresponding glass, I feel quite disappointed. This brings me to my first question. It seems that in modern craft brewing, the classical Belgian styles like doubles and triples aren't really as popular. Why do you think this is? And my second question concerns a craft brewer from the Netherlands, which was taken over by a macro brewer in last week. What's your stance on this? Would you stop drinking their beer to not support big beer, or would you keep on drinking their beer? Love your work. Cheers, love and beer.
So thank you for your question, Matisse. Your first question was around why classic Belgian styles like double and triple are not that popular among modern craft brewers. From my perspective, my answer would be that they are. They're wildly popular. Most brewers absolutely love classic Belgian styles. The issue is that the drinkers don't. And that means that it's incredibly... Yeah, exactly. And, you could... And I'm being genuine here, you could sell 2 or 3 New England IPAs in the time that it even takes you to make a triple that then won't sell very quickly. So that's sort of the commercial reality of it, and it's a real shame. And I should say, a huge shout out to breweries like Lost and Grounded, who we're going to tomorrow, like Unity Brewing, like 6 Degrees up north. These breweries that focus entirely on Belgian beer, because it's not easy to build a business that way. Why do you think, Bradley, that the drinkers don't love these styles?
I think that they're kind of a harder sell, a lot of them, because they're pretty bloody strong for a start, and they're going to make you fall off your chair if you drink too much of them. So
but double IPAs are wildly popular.
They are wildly popular. I think people there's just something about, we always talk about is it going to be the year of lager or whatever, and no, it's the year of IPA again. There's just something that captivates every drinker pretty much about IPA. You just sort of say those 3 letters and people are kind of sold. I don't know. It's weird,
which has sort of led to a bleed of lots of styles that definitely aren't IPAs being called IPAs. Yeah, because you stick those 3 letters on it, and it's going to sell significantly better than if you just put, like hoppy Belgian ale. Call it a Belgian IPA.
That's it.
Even though there's no historical lineage. Probably the hops are wrong, the yeast is wrong, the malt bill's wrong. It's got nothing to do with British or American IPA. It's a Belgian beer with extra hops. But yeah, I mean, I think it probably is hops. The whole of the craft beer movement was built off of these American hops. And drinkers struggle to move on past that. And I think that maybe, if New England IPA hadn't come along and changed the game again and just kept us drinking IPA, maybe as people started to tire of West Coast IPA, we might have moved to more wider styles, maybe more Belgian yeast forward stuff, or lager would have truly had its year in the sun or something. But New England IPA sort of sent us off on a different timeline. And I love it because I love those styles, but it really hurts when I think about, all the businesses that are making these amazing beers. that just aren't getting the love that they really deserve. And on the Craft Beer channel, we try to put as much effort into promoting all styles, because there's no way I could do what I do, or Brad could do what he does. If we were only drinking IPA every day, we'd have got sick of it years and years and years ago. And I think the same is true for drinkers. Like, eventually they will tire of just drinking IPA, and the reason it doesn't feel like that is because new people are coming in. But lots of people who have been into craft beer for a couple of years are starting to find other stuff.
That was kind of going to be my point. Actually, I was waiting for you to finish, but I think the reason why it's always year of the IPA, whatever kind of flavour that it might be, is because there are always so many newbies that are coming along, and it's the first sort of stop on the bus of craft beer. And, people might fall by the wayside and go off on their separate ways, or they might just be like, I like this IPA, I don't want to try anything else, I'm going to stick with this, I'm comfortable at my station. So you're always going to have that new influx, the people that are happy with that, they just love it, and they're not the most sort of explorative of people. You're going to kind of get that stuff, and then you're going to get the people that have been doing it for a lot longer, and they kind of want to progress, and they want to try different things, and they want to expand their horizons, and that's where you might go down a kind of Belgium adventure or other adventures. But I think, that's kind of it, right? And then what was the other part of the question?
Yeah, so the second question was his favourite Dutch craft brewery was bought out by a macro brewery last week. So he's asking, would you stop drinking the beer of such a brewery, or continue as if nothing happened?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I think he said if the beer didn't change, right?
Sorry, somebody keeps calling me.
Okay.
So it keeps going beeping in my ear. Say that again.
I think he said that was if the beer didn't change, right? Which kind of, I guess that's a bit of an added factor. If the beer doesn't change, and you absolutely love it, but obviously we are quite staunchly independent and supporting small business with our focus. So
well, I mean, in terms of what we promote on the channel, our view is that we should be supporting the people that need supporting. Yeah. So need or deserve supporting. So the people who are doing interesting things, making amazing beer, helping out in communities, supporting communities, building communities, and those are the small people that don't have marketing budgets to really say, hey, look, we're doing something great here. So we've always tried to focus on the much smaller breweries, unless there's a beer made by a big brewery that is kind of culturally important. So things like Bourbon County Stout. If you'd have asked me this 2 or 3 years ago, I'd have said stop drinking it. Support small independent business. But in the last couple of years, I've sort of shifted my personal view on what I drink towards support ethical breweries. And often that does mean supporting the small and independents, but anybody who's looking at what's happening in the craft beer industry at the moment with the reckoning around sexism and sexual harassment and sexual assault knows that just because you're small and independent, it does not mean you're ethical. In fact, in many ways, it's used as a smokescreen to hide the fact that you're, abusing employment rights. You don't have HR processes in place to deal with complaints when you've got bad actors within your business. And you're literally, hiding. You're going like, this can't be true. We're small and we're all nice guys here. And they mostly are guys. So my personal, in terms of what I drink now, has shifted towards ethical. And that means that there are some pretty big breweries that I happily drink from. We still drink Fuller's. We still drink, we still talk all the time about Pilsner Raquel. But there is no way in hell I would ever purchase a Heineken product. No. They're an awful company, and you only have to Google the words Heineken and controversies to just be inundated with evidence as to why we should never touch that company as ethical consumers. But equally, I'll never drink a Founder's beer again. Well, actually, technically they are now macro owned, but whether they were or they weren't, I wouldn't, because of the actions of the owners and of many of the people in that business. Unless huge changes are made at Modern Times, I wouldn't touch a Modern Times beer right now. So in answer to your question, Matt, I think you've got to look at the ethics of that company, not necessarily just the ownership, and make a personal decision as to whether you can still support them. I think it's kind of unhelpful, this idea of macro bad, small good. A, because it means you're not supporting bigger companies that might be good, and B, it means you might be supporting small companies that aren't necessarily good. So it takes more research and more time, but the best way to be an ethical drinker is to know all the facts and not make assumptions based on ownership.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty much in agreement with what you just said there, to be honest. I just hope that Pilsner Urquell never do anything shady, because that will ruin me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not aware of anything, and one of these things is, and why we should never judge people for drinking certain beers, is that we just don't know, so we can only act on the information we have. So if you guys find out a brewery's done something bad, email us and we'll have a look at it and see if we need to never support them again. And that's the best way to spread information and to make ethical decisions, by educating each other. So yeah, fingers crossed the brands we love never do it, but we've all been shocked by the accusations against Marble of late, and the night before that broke, I was on a live stream with Cloudwater singing their praises, and I just can't feel comfortable doing that until we hear the full story and everything's resolved. So I learned quite a hard lesson there, that you can love a brewery one day and not know what to say about them the next, and it's a bit rough. But craft beer, I think, is having a bit of an identity crisis anyway at the moment, because in many countries there is a really strong craft beer scene, and the enemy really shouldn't just be big brewers. It's not just big bad brewers causing issues. It's politicians, it's climate change, and all these other things that we should unify against as much as anything else. So yeah, Matt, do the info, do the research, and just interpret the information to your personal sort of boundaries, I guess. So yeah, thank you very much for that question. Thank you everybody for listening this week. I hope you will have enjoyed our live show last night. On Wednesday we have the second episode of the Porter Brew Build and Brew Day with the amazing Wildcard, and then we're back to some brewery features around the country that I've been travelling to, and Brad's been joining me on a couple of them as I wrap up my book. So there's some really cool breweries coming up, and some hop sniffing with Cloudwater, which is going to be a great video as well. So lots of cool stuff is coming, on top of hopefully a long, fruitful and utterly ridiculous relationship with Grainfather. All the best, guys. Love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel, and if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.